In 1962, a landfill fire in Centralia, Pennsylvania, reached an exposed coal seam. It never stopped. Roads cracked, ground collapsed. Toxic gases filled homes. 60 years later, the town is gone from the map. The fire beneath it still burns. On May 27, 1962, Centralia's Borough Council approved the burning of trash in the town landfill. The site, a gaping strip mine pit left unsealed since the 1930s, measured nearly 75 feet wide and plunged 50 feet deep. There was no clay or shale barrier lining the bottom, just exposed coal, black and fractured, barely separated from the flames above. As the fire consumed heaps of refuse, it reached the raw edge of the Buck Mountain anthracite seam. The heat found its way through loose soil and debris, slipping into cracks and crevices left by years of mining. No record survives naming who exactly signed off on the burn, but council authorization was never properly documented. In that moment, a single act, routine and unremarkable, allowed open fire to meet open coal. The consequences would smolder for generations, far beneath the surface where no one could see. Once the flames slipped beneath the landfill, they entered a maze that had been carved out over a century of mining. The Buck Mountain anthracite seam ran for nearly 4 miles under Centralia, intersected by abandoned tunnels, haulage drifts, and vertical shafts left unsealed since the 1930s and 1940s. These voids weren't just empty space, they acted as oxygen highways. Old ventilation shafts, built to keep miners alive, now fed fresh air to the fire. The coal seam itself dipped southeast, allowing heat and gases to travel laterally, well beyond the original burn site. Every pocket of air, every crack in the rock, gave the fire new fuel. Early firefighting efforts, trenching and dousing with water, proved useless. Water boiled off before reaching the hottest zones, and the fire simply sidestepped barriers, following the path of least resistance through the interconnected mine network. Underground, the disaster multiplied, hidden from sight, but growing stronger with every breath of air it found. John Coddington, the town's gas station owner and mayor, became the first to realize just how deeply the underground fire had invaded daily life. In 1979, he lowered a thermometer into his station's fuel tank and found the gasoline nearly hot enough to boil, measuring close to 150 degrees Fahrenheit. That kind of heat, seeping up from the coal seam below, turned every fill-up into a risk. At night, families listened for the faint beeping of carbon monoxide alarms, unsure if the next breath would bring a wave of dizziness or nausea. The air in basements grew heavy with fumes, and headaches became a routine part of life. Official logs from the late 1970s recorded spikes in carbon monoxide throughout Centralia's homes, sometimes reaching levels high enough to trigger health warnings. The invisible threat pressed in, warping floorboards, melting snow in perfect circles, and making each day feel more claustrophobic than the last. On February 14, 1981, a plume of steam drifted from the backyard of a modest Centralia home. 12-year-old Todd Domboski, curious, stepped toward the haze. Without warning, the ground collapsed beneath him. He plunged into a sinkhole more than 150 feet deep, the walls slick with mud and laced with invisible carbon monoxide. Only quick action from a relative saved him, hauling Todd out before the poisonous fumes could suffocate him. News of the near tragedy spread quickly, shattering any illusion that the danger was distant or abstract. The fire was no longer just underground. It threatened lives in broad daylight. In the weeks that followed, Centralia's residents split into two camps. Some, called flyers, demanded evacuation and government help. Others, the stayers, refused to abandon homes built over generations. Tensions flared into harassment, slashed tires, broken windows, spray-painted threats. The town's crisis was no longer just geological. It had become deeply personal, neighbor turning against neighbor as the fire raged on, unseen but inescapable. Government engineers surveyed every option, flooding the mines, sealing the tunnels, even injecting inert gases, but none could halt the fire's advance. The costs soared, and the risks only grew. By the early 1990s, Congress authorized a $42 million federal buyout, targeting more than 1,000 properties for acquisition and demolition. Entire blocks fell to the wrecking ball. In 2002, the United States Postal Service revoked Centralia's zip code, erasing the town from official maps. The few who refused to leave fought a drawn-out legal battle, culminating in a 2013 settlement that granted life tenancy to 7 remaining residents. Their homes, surrounded by empty lots and silent streets, would revert to the state after their deaths. Centralia's formal existence ended not with a single event, but through a series of bureaucratic acts, each one closing another door, until only memory and smoke remained. After the last families left and the official maps erased Centralia, a different kind of visitor began arriving. The abandoned stretch of Route 61, warped and cracked by the fire below, became known as Graffiti Highway. For nearly 3 decades, the empty pavement drew thousands of explorers and thrill-seekers each year. They covered the asphalt in layers of spray paint, names, dates, wild murals, until every inch became a living monument to loss and curiosity. But the same instability that once forced out residents now threatened trespassers. In 2020, the owners buried the Graffiti Highway under tons of earth, sealing away the artwork and closing off the town's most famous scar. Even buried, the ground still breathes heat and fumes, a reminder that the fire below never rests. Thermal maps from NASA's Landsat 9 and USGS models reveal a stubborn band of heat still radiating from Centralia's core, with surface temperatures at active vents reaching 150 degrees Celsius. Scientists now estimate the fire will burn for another 250 years, pushing its extinction into the 23rd century. The underground blaze has outlasted every attempt to contain it, leaving behind a landscape where the true threat is measured not in years, but in centuries. Beneath empty streets, the fire still spreads, unseen, unstoppable. One careless act unleashed a disaster measured not in days, but centuries. The ground remembers what we forget. What else smolders below?